Hello, everybody. Welcome to this second session of the course. I hope all of you are well. It's always a pleasure for me to be your guide, and in this case, your tutor in the Academy project of World Virtual Tours. In this case, the course Decoding Mesoamerican Mathematics, Astronomy, and Geometry. Okay, please mention in the chat where you connected from today, and also if you attended the first session, the first lesson of the course. And let's wait for all the attendants to arrive and not miss anything. And my name is Alfredo Olivares. Most of you already know me. I'm a licensed tour guide here in Mexico. Okay, so please type in the chat, where are you from? Where are you connected from today? And if you remember, what do you remember about the last session we did? Hello, Mar. Welcome again, as always. Hello to Angela in Arizona. And Farida, our friend in Kazakhstan. Okay. Did you attend the first lesson? Did you attend the first part of this course? Okay. And hello to friends also in Wisconsin, Salt Lake City. Yeah, okay. Again, after the first lesson, Nihi Trong is here. Hello to friends in California and in Indiana. And yeah, they use a base 20 mathematics system. And for today's lesson, we're going to find that they use other different systems, but also in many cases based on the number 20. Yeah, Tammy, remember, if you missed the first session, the first lesson, you can check it in the World Virtual Tours webpage in the Academy section. Okay, there you can check the first and at the end the 4 lessons. This is just the second one live right now. Hello to Italy in Italy. Hello to Andy in South Florida. Celeste in Texas. Annette in Tacoma. I'm from Pennsylvania. I was for the first family, but family issue prevented me from attending. No worries. You can check the first lesson in the webpage. Marina from New York and to friends in Italy. Okay, so guys, just for reminding that this is a free project, but if you want to tip, I can keep doing this work for you and taking you to the different knowledge places of the ancient civilizations of Mexico mainly, and the different tours here in Mexico, both online and in person too. Okay, so with the first if you click the first link here, you can tip at the end, of course, if you like and if you learn something today. Art from Philippines, and greetings to Armenia for him, and hello to friends also in Massachusetts and Mari too. Okay, so what about if we start with the second lesson today? Hello to friends in Estonia too. And yeah, they had a 20 base system using dots, lines, and ovals or seashells to represent the numbers. And depending on the position of the number, it was the multiplication we need to do based on powers of 20, right? That was the first lesson. Let's recap a little bit of that. I will close the chat for you to be more comfortable in this tour, but if you have a doubt, you can raise the hand, or if you want to make any comment or any question at the end, chat will be also open for several minutes. Okay, so let's start with the second part of the course, Decoding Mesoamerican Mathematics, Astronomy, and Geometry. Let's recap what we have checked so far. We mentioned the ethnomathematics as the main part of this course. We are not trying to be experts on the calendar or experts on the Maya numbers, but to understand the origin, the context, and also to why not know some of these systems, at least as an introduction to these very complex systems. Okay, in the first lesson we mentioned and we learned about the numbers, the Maya numbers, as many of you mentioned. This was a system based on columns, positions, and different numbers with the powers of 20, okay? In the second section today, we're going to mention much about the astronomy and about the systems they use, especially for measuring the time, for measuring the year, the calendar. Spoiler, they had not only one calendar as we have, but they had a system of many different calendars based on the movement of different stars and planets and the sun. Of course, I will explain this more deeply today. In the third section, we're going to speak about the geometry, about more complex calculations, especially for, in this case, like the decoration of one of the buildings in Mitla, but also about the architecture and the layout of their cities. And in the fourth lesson, we will speak about the economy, the finances, and all the how they use the numbers for these for tributation or commerce, for example. Okay, that's so far what we have studied. So we are now in the second session, in the second lesson. Okay, let's remember that Mesoamerica is a region that it's under the Tropic of Cancer, and it is evergreen land, and that's why several civilizations flourished here about 7,000 or 4,000, between 7,000 and 4,000 years ago. Especially they flourished first in the Gulf of Mexico with the Olmec civilization, and then after the Olmec, other civilizations took the knowledge that the Olmec had, like the Maya or the cities, the civilizations in the center, such as the Aztecs. Okay, but they lived in different times. We mentioned that the first societies or the first groups arriving to this continent about 12,000 years back, they developed the agriculture. First, they were hunter-gatherers, but they developed the agriculture about 7,000 years back, and it allowed them to grow their cities and to have other way of life. And with the concern of the good harvest, they had to develop a complex system of numbers and measuring, especially for the days, for them to know where, when to harvest, etc. Of course, all of this measuring the movements of the elements in the sky. Okay, they had a different concept of the universe. As we know nowadays, we are on a planet floating around the sun, and the sun is around other objects. For them, it was different. For them, there was a center of existence in the lands where we are, and they only knew that there were 4 different directions, in this case the cardinal points, and also they calculated upper world and underworld. Okay, I will also be a bit more specific about this later in this tour. Okay, so they developed the calendars and measurement tools for them to know and to understand better what would happen in every season of the year, right? Even when we are in evergreen lands with not well-marked winter, spring, autumn, and summer, they had specific changes to measure, for example, the hurricane season, and other more complex ideas. Okay, so measuring days, the moon cycles, the years, and full eras with this. Okay, this is important because the full counting of the dates in the Mesoamerican system, it is about very, very long eras, and so we can know the specific dates. Okay, we will have a practice with that at the end of this presentation. Sorry. So they, as I mentioned, developed the full cities that were able with societies that were able to calculate the movements of the stars, the time and the periods of the sun. For example, we have some examples here of the most developed cities and societies that could do this. Okay, Chichen Itza in Yucatan, Palenque in Chiapas, each one with their own observatory that I will also show to you in this presentation. Xochicalco in Morelos, about 100 kilometers south of Mexico City. We have this beautiful archaeological site with the, remember, all of these concepts of cities, architecture, calendar come from the Olmec, okay, the Olmec civilization. So these squares, plazas for rituals, and also this model of pyramids, for example, it is influenced much by the Olmec that existed centuries before. For example, the Toltec that inhabited in Xochicalco, Morelos. Okay, and let's start considering that most of the calendar system, of course, as we do nowadays, it is based on the movements of the sun. Let's consider and let's remember, because it's something that I also mentioned in the first class, that they had a concept of time, okay? For them, there was, of course, a relation between the time and space, and for them, the sun had an apparent journey through the four directions in the cosmos, which generates light, which generates life. Okay, so the generation of life is very important because of the movement of the sun, and these complex societies began to understand the time as a succession of cyclical movements. Of all they could measure is the cyclical movement of the stars, the cyclical movement of the sun. So for all of them, the existence is cycles, and that's why we are going to discover today that they had wheels, like a technique to measure the time. It is important, especially for this second session, to mention that each cycle brings a functional role and different energies, depending on the day and depending on the cycle we are. Every human, plant, or animal will have different energy. And understanding the cycle, also it is possible to understand the past and make interpretations of the future. Okay, so they will measure the sun, but not only the sun. As I mentioned, they had not only one calendar, but many different calendars, and in many cases they could mix those calendars for make very, very complex calculations. They measure the sun, they measure the moon, they measure the planet Venus. Of course, they didn't know that it's another planet or the concept of planet we have, but it was a very, very shiny star with a very different behavior, like as the rest of the stars in the sky. Okay, actually, Venus was equal important for them as the moon and the sun. Okay, more in a spiritual way, but it was really important too. Also, they could measure the track of the planet Jupiter. They studied much the Orion cluster, but about the clusters and the stars and the measurement of these, we're going to speak more in the third session, because it is very, very related to the geometry and the layout of the cities and the architecture of the Mesoamerican societies. They also considered the nebulas as very important sources of knowledge, and they considered the Orion area, as a very important cluster in the sky. They had to predict the storms, hurricanes, floodings, and tides, as I mentioned, but not all. It was not only the cyclical year-by-year season, the one that they had to measure, but they were also able to predict more complex phenomena like eclipses. For them, the interpretation of present phenomena can also allow for the prediction of future events. That's why many people speak about the Maya prophecies, or if they were prophets or could prophesy things. It is, at least it has a base, to say that, for all the astronomy phenomenon. Yeah, they could predict that even in a more precise way than the rest of the civilizations, at least not so far from the current time we live. And there are other theories, right? There are other versions about the Maya work that mention that, yeah, they could predict other human phenomenon or catastrophes, no? But it's not so well proved that they could do that. At least the eclipses and all the astronomy, they were totally experts. Speaking about all the Mayan societies, but all the Mesoamerican societies, but specifically about the Maya and the Olmec. They developed different observatories, okay, for tracking the sun, tracking Venus, and other things of the sky, right? In this case, we have the observatory of Coba in Yucatan, part of the Maya civilization. The observatory of Palenque, Chiapas, and Chiapas, in Chiapas was this. This one, it was also a palace, was also a ruling class housing area, but it was, they used this also as an observatory. The observatory in Xochicalco was only a cave with a hole for tracking the path of the sun through the sky, of course, reflected or projected on the floor. The Teotihuacan civilization used more complex way of measuring this. In this case, they had this area flooded. The Romans would call it an impluvium. This area full of water allowed the Teotihuacan civilization to measure with the corners and the different structures within the plaza, the flooded plaza, to measure the track of different stars with the reflection of the stars on the water. Other observatory in Monte Alban, Oaxaca, part of the Zapotec civilization. Even, and this is other thing that we're going to mention in the third part of the course, the layout of the cities also worked as a calendar or as a sundial. Okay, in this case, the Aztec civilization developed the center of the ceremonial center of Mexico Tenochtitlan, nowadays Mexico City. Most of these buildings were destroyed. We have only a few vestiges, ruins, but as we can notice, during the equinox, the sun will rise on top of the main pyramids, the Huaytocali, the great house of the gods. During the summer solstice, it will appear in the, this is the, this would be the temple of Tezcatlipoca, and in the other side, it is the temple of Tonatiuh. Okay, so these two temples also marked the solstices, and we are going to explain this in more detail a bit later, okay? Other observatories, the most famous, of course, is the one in Chichen Itza in Yucatan. When you visit the archaeological site, you can be in front of this beautiful Toltec Maya hybrids observatory, okay? Tula is part of the Toltec civilization, and during all this second part of the course, let's not forget that they had a very, let's consider this, right? Let's remember this. They were agricultural societies. They needed to ensure a good harvest. The good harvest, they had two ways to be sure that it would be good. The measurements with astronomy and the worship worshiping the gods, asking the gods for energy and trying to retrieve this energy to the gods. In the case of Mesoamerica, they mixed these two techniques, okay, let's say the astronomy and the worship together. Actually, they also had a ritual calendar that we're going to explain today, okay? So again, the conception of the universe, they perceived all this living space where we are like a flat space, a disk maybe, with 4 different directions, 13 steps above us. It's the sky, it's all the 13 levels that the sun will cover during the day and 9 in the night, okay? These numbers have also a reason. 4 corners and the center of everything, okay? We need to start counting from this point where we are, from this axis, but to start counting 1 in one direction and 1 in our direction, it means that it's something, a center where we are, okay? And that's the concept of 0, okay? That's one of the reasons why they developed the number 0, Remember, all of this knowledge is based on the Olmec civilization that existed about the year 1200 before Christ, way older than the Aztecs that existed after the year 1200, but Anno Domini, okay, a big gap, but anyways, the Olmec inherited all this knowledge to the coming civilizations, okay? This is all the existence of Mesoamerica with the flourish of the Olmec civilization, and at the end, in 1521, with the defeat of the Aztecs by the Spaniards, it began the colonization, the European colonization in Mexico. Okay, let's start studying a bit more about the calendars, a bit more about the system of the Mesoamerican civilizations. Okay, this is the stone of the sun. This is maybe the most famous piece of Mesoamerican art. Nowadays is exhibited in the National Museum of Anthropology in Mexico City, the most visited museum in the world, and this is the most visited piece of the museum, okay? It is popularly known as the Aztec calendar, but the proper name would be the stone of the sun, okay? This sun is actually not a calendar, okay? It's a tribute to the sun movement and its relation with time and space, but it's very important to start studying the different elements it has. We have in the Aztec calendar, or the stone of the sun, the face of the god Tonatiuh of this at the center, okay? Let's remember that for most of the Mesoamerican peoples, the gods were invocations of natural forces. In this case, the face of Tonatiuh is an invocation of the sun, okay? This is the face of the sun for them. Actually, Tonatiuh is one of the most common Aztec names, still present nowadays for Mexican guys, okay? I have friends, actually a cousin that is called Tonatiuh. And Tonatiuh is holding the rest of the universe with a couple of claws, right? So Tonatiuh holds the days, holds the time, is a time keeper, but he's also mixed in this case with the Nahui symbol, okay? I will explain a bit more about the Nahui symbol. So we mentioned Tonatiuh, in this case, another representation of the sun. We see Tonatiuh that represents this radiant, powerful force of the sun in the Aztec mythology. We see Tonatiuh with portraying some elements like the fire here, a disc that of course is the disc of the sun rays, and he has a crown with 4 different leashes, okay? A 4-nth group of leashes, okay? What does it mean? If we see the calendar here again, we see again 4-nth tie, right? What is this? This is Nahui Olin, a 4-nth tied leash, okay? Nahui Olin is the symbol of movement, of change. The symbol of movement and change represented with a four-end tight leash, okay? This concept was also inherited concept from the Olmec civilization, okay? The Olmec had already the symbol, that means the movement with this leash of four ends, and the Aztec made it, of course, a more sophisticated design, right? But the movement of what? Why the movement is represented with this four ends leash? It is the movement of the sun. How the sun? If we see the sun only makes a line in the sky, right? But no, it depends on the arc that the sun marks during the year, okay? It's not the same arc during the summer solstice in June 21st as the same arc in winter, depending on the part of the world where we are. But here, between the equator and the Tropic of Cancer, the Aztec, Maya, Olmec could notice this difference in the arc of the sun, okay? It is a different place for the sunrise and the nights during different dates, during the June solstice, during the equinox of March and September, and during December, okay? If we try to mark a pattern with the sun, for example, at 3 o'clock during these different dates, we will also find the sun in different positions, okay? This is a track of the sun during the year at the same time of the day, okay? So this means they could track, and the ancient Mesoamerican civilizations could imagine or could draw the track of the sun with this. It looks like the four ends leash that we mentioned before, right? In this case, more like an infinite, but it has now the relation with the symbol, right? With the symbol now we all in. Okay. So the symbol now we all in, it's actually the symbol of movement because of the solstices, the different change of the arc of the sun during the year, okay? So we have the face of Tonatiuh at the center, holding the universe with his claws, and the now we all in symbol with the with the movements of the sun, okay? And around the sun, we have 20 symbols. These 20 symbols are called tonali, and were part of the Maya, in this case, the Aztec ritual calendar, okay? These 20-day signs called tonali, it depends on what day you were born. It is more like the Aztec zodiac, okay? It is depending on the day of the tonali, the tonal powali, the full system, where when you were born, it is the energy you would have during the rest of your life, okay? If you born during the day Sipakli during the Aztec calendar, you would have the energy of the Caiman or the aquatic monster. And so with other different symbols, the eagle, the lizard, the snake, the winds, the rain, okay? I will speak a bit more about this because this is also knowledge inherited from the Maya civilization. So during October, I will be giving this course of the Maya mythology, and there I will explain a bit more about the energy of these symbols, okay? Again, the all-in, the movement, the rain, the winds. The other 10 are the grass, the flower, the flint, dog, the vulture, the rabbit, the ocelotl or jaguar, okay? So this is other representation, more of the Son of the Sun, Tonatiuh, now we all in the movement, and the 20 symbols. We have wheels, okay? We are starting to understand that we have different wheels, different levels of calculations of the days. And this was took, as I mentioned, by the Maya, and the Mayan took it by the from the Olmec people. But let's consider that the Maya are the most famous and the ones that made it better than any other. Okay, so that's why we are going to study the Maya system. That basically is the same as all the other cities in Mesoamerica, but even the Aztec took it from the Maya. But let's see what happens here in this other. Okay, again, we see the timekeeper at the center. Okay, in this case, the Maya always represented their gods with human faces or full humans, and taking the time with him. Okay, around we see 20 symbols again. Okay, and in the exterior stone, in the exterior wheel, we have 18 other symbols that I will explain little by little. Okay, let's consider that we're speaking about cycles, so we're going to I'm going to explain cycle by cycle what they mean. Okay, so all this calendar function as a gear. Okay, as a gear system spinning and making coincidences between the days, and with these different multiplications and calculations to understand, express, or predict different time phenomena. Okay, we will study today 7 different cycles of the Maya wheel, and the first cycle is a cycle of 24 hours. Okay, it is basically the full turn of the sun, in this case, in this apparent movement of the sun around the earth. Okay, the name of this cycle is Kih. This is the face of this cycle, and it has or kin, also kin is called kin. Let's consider that there are at least 40 different variations of Maya language, so we can find different names for every one of these cycles in different versions, historical or even nowadays. Okay, so it is a cycle of 24 hours. 30 steps up is the 30 levels of the mountain, the pyramid the sun has to climb, and 9 underworlds. Okay, remember, we have this system, and the sun will have its race, will climb the 30 levels during the day, descending to, and 9 levels of the underworld, of course, during the night. Okay, so let's consider with this summatory 13 plus 9, it is 22. Okay, it is very close to the Egyptian system of 24 hours that we have nowadays, but for the Maya, the day had 22 different moments, 22 different hours. Okay, the second cycle of the Maya is Requanquin, and it is a cycle of 13 days, okay, also known as Tzolkin. And depending on these 2 cycles that I will explain now, it is more about the ritual calendar. Okay, so it has no direct relation with the movement of the sun, or I mean during all the year, or the moon, but they chose 2 numbers for these cycles. The number 13 for the Tzolkin, that is different energies. Okay, in this cycle of 13 days, every day had different energies. 6 with low energy, 6 with high energy, and the number 7 with a neutral energy. Okay, all of this was to measure the energy of the human, or the happenings during the actual happening, or during the your born date, for example. Okay, so that's why they chose the number 13. The number 13 is a number that we cannot easily find in the nature, but the rattlesnake, for example, it has the number 13. The rattlesnake has 13 different like this peel that covered the faces, 13 in each side of the face, And that's why the rattlesnake is one of the symbols that they use to represent this cycle of 13 days. Okay. Also, when they are adults, the rattlesnakes will have 13 different sections, let's say, in the rattle of the tail. Okay. The third cycle that we are going to speak today is the winal. Okay. Winal is a cycle of 20 days represented with the 20 symbols that I also mentioned the Aztec had. Okay. The combination of these 20 symbols, more or less the same symbols that the Aztec used: the lizard, the winds, the death, the deer, the flints. So the combination of this wheel of 20 days and the wheel of 13 days will give a multiplication of 260 days, okay? So this is the ritual calendar, Tzolkin. It had 260 days, okay? And with the repetition of these cycles, they could measure the energy. Okay, it is not a calendar for measuring dates, it is a calendar for measuring energies. Okay, still it's a mystery why they chose the number 20 for this and number 13 as a parameter or a multiplication, and why 260 days. It has a coincidence with other energies in the universe. If we want to look more closer, like 260 days is more or less the time for a pregnant woman, right, to give birth. Other theories speak about some cycles of the what's this word, the electromagnetism of the earth. It has cycles according to some theories, but it's not 100% proved. Okay, but this calendar of 260 days, it is the one that the Mayans, the Aztec, the Olmec use for measuring energies. Okay, let's speak about other cycle. The fifth cycle is called half. Okay, the half is a regular calendar that we can speak about comparing to the one that we have nowadays. Okay, it is a year of 365.2420 days. It is the full turn of the earth around the sun. Of course, they could measure this with the solstices and the equinoxes. And this year of 360 days had a calendar of 18 months with 20 days, the 20 days of the winal each one, okay? And 5 extra days. This is important, okay? Because in the Maya counting, they will only count 360 days. For them, the 5 extra days were fatal days. They wouldn't count those days. One reason is because the multiplications for their system would work better with 360 days, and the other is more like a mythological and more social and religious reason that I will explain in the course in October. Okay, these were the 18 months for the half calendar, and every 18 months they would call it Tun. Okay, so let's make a wrap up of this calendar of 360 days. 360 days, 18 periods, one extra period of 5 days. They won't count 5 days. For these periods, they will only count a tune of 360 days, 20 days in each period of the 18. Okay, we have the 19 here because it's a representation of the 5 extra days, the fatal days that they won't count. Okay, so for the measuring of the calendar, the regular calendar, 365 days, they will start. We see this glyph of the month is the same month, the first month, but with the different numbers represented on the left. So this is the month 1 that, as we can see, is called the pop, is this one. Pop, pop, pop. Okay, so it's the day 0 pop, 1 pop, 2 pop, 3 pop, 4 pop. Okay, this calendar adjusted to our calendar begins more or less in February or March. Okay, and when they reach the 19 pop, they would advance to the 1 wo, 2 wo, 3 wo, etc., to the 19, and then the 1 sip, 2 sip, etc., completing the round of 360 days plus the YF, the 5 nameless days, fatal days. Okay. We need to consider other cycle that is called Katun. Katun is a measure of 2,360 days. That, if we count like 365 days, would be 19.7 years, or 7,200 days. This is a cycle. Now we are just, I'm just mentioning these measurements, but I will explain a bit later why or how they use this. And the 7th cycle is a Baktun, 400 tun, equivalent to 394.5 years in our counting, or 144,000 years, represented with phases. This is important, okay? At the end, when we make the practice, all of this will have more sense, I promise, okay? So let's study these waves here that we have here, okay? So what we have here, we have a counting here from the year 1628 to the year 2012, okay? Let's remember, in the year 2012, many people said that the world would be over. It was the apocalypse. It was the Maya prophecies end of the world. And it has a very important relation with this that we are mentioning right now, okay? In the year 2012, it finished one Katun, one period of 394 years, okay? That began in 1628, okay? This Katun, and here, sorry, this Baktun, it's a Baktun. The blue is a Baktun that consists on 20 different Katun periods of 19.7 years, okay? So this is the wave that we are speaking about. This is the period that all the wheel covered during this time. And it is important also to understand something. We have, again, this is the blue line, this is the Baktun, right? It is 394 period. 20 Katun, the red lines, periods, 20 periods of 19.7 years. And we have a green line. What is this green line? The green line is all the beginning of the last phase of the universe, okay? For the Mayans, before the year 3113 before Christ, or minus 3113, it is when the world was created, when the humankind, at least in the current version, was created. So the Mayans will start the counting in the year minus 3113. We have the year 0 over here, and the year to 2012, when all the long counts finished. The long count is 5,122 years. Okay, this is another wave that also finished in the year 2012. Okay, so the fifth era of existence of the humanity in the Maya cosmology was finished also on 21st December 2012. Okay, that's why many people spoke about it, but it's just a new era, a new counting, a new long count of 5,122 years begun. Okay, let's consider that this big wave, this long count, it's equivalent to 13 Katun. Okay, the Katun number 13, the 13th time the cycle of 394 days began was in 2012. So we are living in the second long count in the 13 Katun. Okay, and with that we can, if we have a date of beginning, we can calculate dates and we can express dates in this system, and that's what we are going to do right now. Okay, just other comments here, guys. Let me show you, the Maya didn't express all this with waves and wheels, but with codex. Okay, we have this Maya codex here with all the dates, all the numbers, all the calculations of this, all the symbols and dates about what they want to express in time. And this complex codex, okay, have the symbols of the days with the numbers over here. And we're going to do this together also in a few minutes. Okay, other Maya codex, we see the dates, the happenings, the columns. Okay, this is an Aztec, a Mexica codex. This is the ritual calendar instead of the other that we were mentioning. This is one of the interpretations of the calendar that the Spaniards made when they arrived, and they asked the Mexica, the Aztecs, to make this or to explain this calendar for them. And this is a Spanish version of these wheels we are speaking about. Colonial version, let's say. So let's make some calculations together. What about it? Okay, I will open the chat, guys, okay, for reading some of your comments, but first let me explain. Let me explain. So this is, let me make a figure here. This is the Maya expression for dates. Okay, let's practice it together, but this is how it looks. And this is the simplified date in the Maya calendar or in the Maya time expression. Okay, let's explain it together. You can actually access to this page. Sorry. You can actually access to this page. It's part of the Smithsonian Institutes. Okay, this is the web page. I will also share it with you for expressing the Maya language and the Maya glyphs any date you want. Okay, so this date today, right? It is September 21st, 2023. Let's consider that the time started in the year minus 3,113. Okay, so from that day to the current day, September 21, 2023, have passed 13 Baktun. It means 13 periods of 144,000 days. Okay, we cannot add an extra back tune to this count because we would be in a very, very future year, okay? So to this date, only 13 back tune have happened, okay? Remember the back tune is the blue line, okay? 1 back tune, 2 back tune, 3 back tune to the 13 back tune, okay? The 13 back tune is represented here in this first position of the date, number 13. And here it is represented with the face of back tune. Remember, I showed you the face before, this one is the same we have here, okay? The face of back tune with the number 13, 2 lines that represent the 5 plus 3. 5 plus 5 plus 3, it is 13, okay? 13 back tune. After that 13 back tune, as the new back tune started in the 2012, no Katun has passed, okay? So we no need to count Katun periods of 20 years. The new Katun will be in the year 2032 because it's 2012 plus 20, okay? So we have the 0 here. The 0 is, let me annotate. The 0 is represented here in the second position, and the face of Katun with the half flower. That's one of the ways to express the 0, okay? So to this moment, we have counted 872,000 years, okay? Days, sorry, days, only days. No days counting in the section of Katun, but we need to add 10 tun. It means 10 periods of 360 days, okay? So we have the face of tun plus, we have the face of tun, sorry. Let me just clear, okay. We have the face of tun with the number 10, okay? It means we add the million, blah, blah, blah years we have here, plus other 3,600 days. That is equivalent to 10 times the tun, 10 times the counting on 360 days, and we have the 10 in the section of tun in the Maya date system, okay? Then we have the winal. We need to count the winal, the periods of 20 days. That in this case, to approach to this date, September 21st, it has happened 16 times. So we have the face of winal with the number 16, 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 1, okay? We are approaching day by day to where we are, okay? And after that counting, we have only 6 natural days, 6 kin or kish in other language, in other Maya versions. So we have the face of kin plus the number 6, 5 plus 1, okay? So this is the current date. And we have other symbols here. In the energy calendar, in the ritual calendar, we have that we are in the 4 Kimi day. Remember, 13 days for energies and 20 days for the different representations of our faces, or enahuales, as the Aztec called it, okay? So we have 4 Kimi, okay? Let's look in our presentations for the day Kimi, okay? It's the number 6, and it's the representation Kimi, it's here, right? Today is the day, or the day has the energy of the lizard, okay? And if a person is born today, it will have the 4 Kimi energy during all his life. Okay, during the in the half date is the month is the day 14 of the month Chen. Remember, it's 18 months, and it's represented right here. And also they measured what lord of the night was your patron, and it is this one, the G2. Okay, but again, in this simplified notation, we have, let's see here, right? 13 Katun, 13 Baktun, sorry, 13 Baktun, 13 periods on 1,044, sorry, 144,000 days. No Baktun, 10 Tun, 10 periods of 360 days, 16 Winal, 16 periods of 20 days, and 6 natural days, 6 Kin. Okay, let me show you what happens with my with my born date. Okay, or let's do it with my yeah, with my born date. Okay, I was born on March 1st, 1988. Okay, pushing convert, and this is my Maya date. Okay, it's 12 Baktun, not 13, because it's before the year 2012. 12 Baktun, 18 Katun. Let's see. Okay, again for annotate. Okay, here we have 12 Baktun, 18 Katun, 14 Tun, 14 Winal, 19 Kin. Okay, again 12 Baktun, 18 Katun, 14 Tun, 14 Winal, 19 Kin. Okay, all the summatory of these days is the days, the total days that have passed since the 11th August of the year minus 3,113 to the day I was born. Okay, my energy is 4 Kawak. My half date in the 365 calendar is the day 7 of the month Kayab, and my lord of the night is G2. About these lords of the night, I will explain a bit more later in the third part, sorry, in October during the Maya mythology course. Okay, so I know I know this is maybe a bit twisted, right, to understand in some cases, but I will open the chat now for me to read all your comments and questions if you have some. I wonder you have many. It's much information, but it's just an introduction for you also to understand better and to research further. Okay, so chat is open now, guys. There I am typing the site for you to make this research of your dates, your born date, your Maya born date, and with this we can finish today, guys. Okay, the course, remember that you can tip. I will also write the links for you to leave a tip if you enjoyed, if you learned today. And thank you so much for your attendance right now. Okay, for attending tour. Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Shayla. Thank you, Cindy. I can't wait for next class. Thank you. Yeah, remember, next session will be about the architecture, geometry, and some applications of the astronomy for this other knowledge. How did they deal with the lap years? That's a very good question. Hi, I forgot to mention it, but every 52 years, the ritual calendar and the 365, the half calendar, had a coincidence. Okay, the calendar of 260 days and the calendar of 365 days had a coincidence. They repeated every 52 years. So every 52 years, they could eliminate 13 days. They could make a ceremonial to eliminate those 13 days of the calendar and so begin again. Okay, it was called the new fire ceremony. That's how they deal with the lap years. Every 52 years they had 13 years less. Okay, thank you, Mark. Thank you, lady. Yeah, it is complicated. It is complicated. It is also easy to not so easy to explain, but I hope you could understand at least the basics of this, no? At least how they had this thinking and these systems and how they were developed. Okay, I am just give me a second, please. I will read your questions right in a second. Okay, just adjusting some settings here. So I will keep reading your comments, your questions. Remember, you can tip if you want in this first link I'm typing, okay? Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for your comments. Thank you, Edie. Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Vin. Thank you, Elisabetta. Thank you, Christina. Something I always wanted to learn. I remember I am a lab year bird. Me too, me too. I was hours, by hours, I wasn't born in a leap year, in a leap day. And I'm from March 1st. So 5 years before, I could have born in the February 29th. So if you were to fill in a form of the Mayan asking what your birthday was, you have to put, yeah, that's long date, That's the Maya, and that's the simplified thing, no? Because the other way is to put the faces with the numbers and all that. I don't need to go to the site and study for it. That's amazing. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Art. Did they celebrate their birthdays? No, it was more related to the ritual calendar. When was the actual ritual you needed to do according to the ritual calendar born, and the full cycle after you was born, it was 52 in your birthday number 52. And in that way, yeah, that was one of the reasons to make big celebrations when you turn 52 years. Outstanding presentation. Thank you, Mocha. A complex concept you made yourself. Thank you, Mocha. Thank you, Manda. Thank you, Faiz. Elisabetta. Is the calendar used to count days? Days, eras, and they had other calendars to count the cycles of Venus, the cycles of Jupiter, etc. Thank you. I see how people all over the planet think similarly. Yeah, of course. The Egyptians calculated 24 hours, the Mayans and Olmec 22 hours of the day. Thank you, Farida. How do they mark your birthday if you were born on a day they don't count? With the ritual calendar. Ritual calendar had no fatal days. To remind us how we can watch the first lesson, you go to World Ritual Tours webpage and you access to the Academy section. You chose the catalog, you chose my courses, and there you will have it. Okay, thank you, Fine. Why did they chose to start the calendar in the negative? That's a very good question. Why that year? It has there are versions, okay, about the cycles. Maybe they could measure some cycles of the galaxy. We are not sure. The researchers are not sure about it. And there are other also religious reasons that we can speak about in October in the Maya mythology course. Okay. So thank you. Thank you for your attendance, guys. And I hope to see you next week, also Thursday, same time as today. And I hope you have enjoyed. Okay. You can donate if you want in the first link, and in the second, you can check the further tours I'll be doing. Okay. Muchas gracias. Thanks to all of you. Thank you, Mar. And see you soon. Have a beautiful weekend, all of you. Goodbye.